Hi, and welcome to HavenLight. I'm Emily Cano, and today we're talking about the womb as a portal of Christ consciousness. The womb is the original tabernacle of God. There is a moment in every awakening journey when the seeker is confronted with a truth so ancient, so quiet, so deeply encoded into the body that the mind almost rejects it at first. The womb is the first place God ever dwelled. Before there were temples carved in stone, before there were synagogues, churches, or sanctuaries, before the Ark of the Covenant, before scripture, doctrine, or religion, before the Word became flesh, there was only a womb, a dark, warm, fluid, living sanctuary, a sacred chamber, a holy of holies, the place where the breath of God entered the world for the very first time. The womb is not merely biological, it's cosmic. It's not merely feminine. It is divine. It is not merely reproductive. It is creative. The womb is the original altar of life, the place where spirit chooses form, where consciousness contracts into individuality, where the eternal becomes temporal, and where God whispers, "Become." Every human being who has ever lived, regardless of gender identity or experience, entered the earth through this portal, either physically or energetically. Every soul passed through the threshold of the womb. Every awakened being carries womb memory. It is the first imprint of safety, creation, nourishment, vulnerability, presence, divine design. And that imprint stays in the body long after birth. You don't remember it with your rational mind. You remember it with your nervous system. You remember it with your intuition. You remember it with your energetic field. You remember it with your spiritual awakening. This is why when people begin awakening, regardless of gender, they feel sensations in the lower belly, hips, womb, or gut. Because the awakening begins exactly where divinity first touched you. This is the mystery. The womb is the earthly echo of the cosmic void where God creates. As above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe births stars, the womb births souls. This is why the enemy of human awakening spent centuries shaming the feminine body, erasing the divine feminine, silencing women, and disconnecting humanity from embodiment. Because if you disconnect a human being from the womb, you disconnect them from creation, intuition, embodied Christ consciousness, their divine nature, their power, their spiritual authority, their connection to source, and their ability to birth new timelines. When you shame the womb, you shame God's first dwelling place. When you suppress the feminine, you suppress half of Christ consciousness. When you erase womb wisdom, you erase the feminine, half of the awakening process. And the world has been lopsided ever since. But now, the remembering has begun. Women and men are awaking to the truth that Christ consciousness cannot fully rise without the divine feminine, without the womb, without embodiment, without the soul's original sanctuary returning to awareness. The womb is not a weakness. It is a portal, a temple, a gateway between worlds. When the womb awakens, Christ consciousness becomes embodied, not just conceptual. It moves from the head into the body, into the breath, into the bones, into the belly, into the heart, into the intuition, into the lived human experience. This is why so many people feel their awakening deep in their gut or low in their body. The womb space is where the soul first heard God. It is where the soul remembers, "I am made in love." And when Christ consciousness stirs, the womb space responds. For some, it feels like warmth. For others, pressure. For others, a soft glowing sensation. For others, it feels like a spiritual quickening, as if their body knows something before their mind catches up. This is not random. This is not hormonal. This is not imagination. This is your body remembering its origin. This is your spirit returning home. This is your awakening, becoming embodied truth. And so in this lesson, we honor the womb as the first temple, the first sanctuary, the first altar, the first tabernacle, the first interface between heaven and earth, and the first place Christ consciousness ever touched creation. And we remember the womb is the holiest place humanity has forgotten, but the awakening restores what the world erased. The Magdalene mystery, the womb as living prayer. If there's one figure in spiritual history who understood the womb, not as biology, but as mystery, portal, temple, and embodied revelation, it was Mary Magdalene, and not the distorted version religion tried to plant, not the silenced, diminished, rewritten Magdalene, but the true Magdalene, initiate, teacher, keeper of the Sophia, beloved of Christ, embodied divine feminine. She did not represent the fallen woman archetype. She represented the risen woman, the woman who remembers. In her lineage, in her teachings, and in her presence, there was one core truth. The womb is a living prayer, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. The womb is a place where intention becomes form, love becomes life, spirit becomes shape, essence becomes incarnation, divine truth becomes embodied reality. It is where heaven touches earth and says, let's begin here. Mary Magdalene knew this because she was trained in the ancient feminine mysteries that existed long before Christianity, woven into the traditions of Isis and Osiris, Inanna, Sophia, Astarte, Asherah, the Hebrew Shekinah, priestess lineages of Egypt and the Near East. In every lineage, the womb was understood as a chalice, a portal, a temple, a gateway, a cosmic mirror, a center of divine creation, the feminine face of God. But by the time Magdalene walked the earth, the world had already begun to forget. Patriarchal systems had diminished the feminine, erased the goddess, shamed sexuality, distorted embodiment, controlled women's bodies, severed humanity from the womb mysteries. Why? Because the womb is where spiritual authority lives. And any system built on control cannot survive a woman who knows her womb is holy. Magdalene carried the remembrance that the feminine body is not a temptation, it is a tabernacle. Not an obstacle, a pathway. Not a danger, a doorway to God. The womb, as she taught it, is not about reproduction. It's about revelation. A woman does not need to carry a child to carry Christ consciousness. A woman does not need to give birth to hold the mysteries. A woman, by her very design, is a vessel of divine remembrance. And men, they carry the energetic womb, the spiritual creative center, which activates when they awaken. The Magdalene teachings say every soul carries a womb, the holy chamber where divine truth gestates. Mary understood something radical and terrifying to the religious systems of her time. Blood is not shame, blood is covenant. The bleed cycle is not impurity, it is initiation. The womb is not sin, it is sanctuary. And the body is not fallen, it is the first scripture ever written. While the world saw the womb as vulnerability, Magdalene saw it as authority. While the world saw the womb as weakness, Magdalene saw it as portal. While the world saw the womb as temptation, Magdalene saw it as transfiguration. This is why she was both loved and feared, adored and hated, lifted and silenced, recognized and erased, because she held a truth that could collapse entire systems. The divine feminine is necessary for Christ consciousness to exist. There is no full Christ without Sophia, no Christos without Shekinah, no spiritual awakening without embodiment, no ascension without descent into the body, no resurrection without the womb. Mary did not worship Jesus. She understood him. She knew that his embodiment of the Christ light was inseparable from the Divine Feminine. Why? Because you cannot birth the Christ light without the womb mysteries. You cannot understand unconditional love without returning to the chamber where you first received it. You cannot hold divine authority until you reclaim the part of your body the world told you to silence. The masculine initiates. The feminine incarnates. The masculine directs. The feminine embodies. The masculine speaks truth. The feminine becomes it. Christ consciousness requires both. This is why every true awakening feels like a marriage within yourself, a sacred union between your inner masculine, which is clarity, action, direction, your inner feminine, which is intuition, embodiment, creation. And that union happens in the womb space, whether physical or energetic. Mary Magdalene also understood this. Where the womb holds the divine, it also holds the deepest wounds. Because the world has misunderstood the feminine for centuries, the womb has become the repository for shame, rejection, abandonment, violation, silence, grief, fragmentation, generational pain. This is not because the womb is weak, it is because the womb is powerful. Where there is spiritual authority, there will be attempts to suppress it. Where there is divine memory, there will be attempts to erase it. Where there is Christ light waiting to awaken, there will be shadows trying to dim it. Your womb space, your lower belly, hips, gut, sacral energy is where you carry both, your pain and your power. It is where you store intuition, store fear, store knowing, store old stories, store shame, store wisdom, store trauma, store divine blueprint. This is why awakening often begins with pelvic heat, gut intuition, creative surges, emotional release, womb cramping, sacral activation, shaking or buzzing sensations, sudden desire for embodiment or grounding. The womb wakes before the mind understands. This is Magdalene's secret. Awakening begins in the body, not the mind, and the womb is the body's first voice. We are living in the age of the return of the feminine Christ, the rise of the intuitive woman, the embodied woman, the spiritual woman, the healed woman, the awakened man who honors the feminine, the masculine who integrates the inner womb, the womb center awakening, the Sophia Christos template. Mary Magdalene's teachings are resurfacing now because the world finally needs them. She is not returning as a myth. She is returning as a frequency, a remembrance, a vibration, a truth rising in the collective field. And every time a woman places her hand over her womb and breathes with intention, every time a man closes his eyes and enters his creative center, every time someone releases shame from their body, every time someone honors their belly as sacred, every time someone reclaims the feminine from distortion, every time someone remembers God within form, the Magdalene frequency activates. This is why you're drawn into this teaching. This is why your body responds to it. This is why your soul recognizes it as truth. It is not new information. It is ancient memory awakening. Mary Magdalene did not pray with words alone. She prayed with her entire being, her breath, her body, her womb, her presence. The womb itself is a prayer of becoming, a prayer of divine potential, a prayer of incarnation, a prayer of creation, a prayer of remembrance. When you reconnect with your womb space, you are not doing a practice. You are answering an ancient call. You are returning to the first place God met you, and in that return is the essence of awakening. Spiritual awakening is often described as a mental, emotional, or energetic process, a sudden insight, a shift in consciousness, a breaking open of awareness. But this understanding is only half the story. The deeper truth, the one carried in ancient feminine lineages and remembered by Magdalene, is that awakening begins in the body, and more specifically, in the womb space. If you don't have a physical womb, this still applies, because the energetic womb exists within every human, regardless of gender. It is the spiritual center at the base of the belly, the place where intuition whispers, where creativity stirs, where truth rises before the mind can name it. And when Christ consciousness begins to awaken within you, the womb space responds first. Not the mind, not the heart, not the crown, the womb. Why? Because the womb is where you first experienced God, not conceptually, not theologically, but somatically. In the womb, you knew unconditional nourishment, safety, surrender, constant presence, deep listening, rhythmic support, oneness with Source. Your nervous system learned the language of God there long before your brain formed words. So when awakening begins, your body returns to the original place where you knew truth, the womb imprint. This is why so many people experience physical sensations in the lower belly, hips, sacrum, and gut during awakening. They mistake it for hormones, for anxiety, for health issues, for emotional volatility. But the reality is this: your womb space is coming alive. It's remembering. It is activating. Let's walk through the signs, the sensations, and the deeper spiritual mechanics of this phase. Many people describe the beginning of their awakening as a gut feeling, a knowing, a nudge, a pull. That's not metaphor. It is literal. The womb space, physical or energetic, is the part of you least conditioned by society and most attuned to divine intelligence. It holds your intuition, your instinct, your boundaries, your inner truth, your emotional wisdom, your spiritual memory, your primal connection to Source. When you awaken, the womb begins to speak again, not in words, in sensation. You may feel a pulsing or gentle throb, pressure or expansion in the lower belly, a warming sensation, butterflies or swirling energy, sudden waves of emotion, intuitive hits that bypass logic, a creative surge out of nowhere, a strong no or yes feeling, the desire to ground, breathe, or rest, the urge to heal past relationships or stories, a subtle rocking or swaying motion of the hips. This is not random. This is your embodied intuition reawakening. The womb space holds the clearest guidance because it is not filtered through the mind's fear, the ego's narrative, or the world's conditioning. It tells the truth without hesitation, even when you don't want to hear it. Most of us carry decades of emotion, memory, and trauma in the lower body. Why? Because the womb space is where we store fear, abandonment, rejection, shame, grief, sexual trauma, generational wounds, relationship betrayal, childhood instability, emotional suppression, identity fragmentation. This is not because the womb is weak, but because the womb is the vault of the soul. So when awakening comes, your system begins clearing what has been stored. This can look like sudden crying, unexpected sadness, intense dreams, memories resurfacing, emotional release without a narrative, feeling empty, raw, or exposed, pelvic tightness, digestive changes, fatigue or restlessness, spiritual contractions where old versions of you dissolve. It isn't regression. It isn't backsliding. It isn't instability. It is your system detoxing what cannot coexist with your awakening. The womb can hold pain for years, but it cannot hold lies once Christ consciousness touches it. Your body will purge anything that blocks truth. There is a moment in awakening where the womb space begins to speak louder than your thoughts. You begin noticing intuitive messages coming from the gut, synchronicities aligning around creativity or feminine healing, dreams involving pregnancy, birth, or water, your hips, belly, or sacral chakra feeling alive, a deep sense that something inside you is rearranging, a sensation of something moving energetically, the feeling that you're preparing for something sacred, a heightened awareness of cycles, rhythms, seasons. This stage is often called the quickening, the moment when awakening becomes embodied, not conceptual. It is the same word used to describe when a woman feels first movement in the womb during pregnancy, except here it is your spirit that is stirring. Something inside you is coming to life. You're not imagining it. You're not unstable. You're not too sensitive. Your soul is rising from its dormancy. Your womb space is remembering its purpose. This is where many people get confused. How can men have womb awakenings? Because gender is biological, but energy is universal. Every human carries a masculine pillar, a feminine pillar, and a central channel where awakening occurs. The energetic womb is located in the lower dantian, the same place martial artists, monks, and mystics focus their breath. Men experience womb awakening as gut intuition, creative fire, emotional opening, grounding, sensitivity, compassion activation, embodiment of Christos energy, healing of shame around masculinity, the return of emotional presence, the ability to feel God in the body, not just the mind. Men do not need a physical womb to experience spiritual gestation. They carry the energetic architecture. This is why truly awakened men soften, open, stabilize, nurture, listen, protect without controlling, embody presence, become safe places for others. When a man's energetic womb awakens, the false masculine collapses, and the true Christ masculine emerges. When your womb space awakens, something fundamental shifts in your identity. You stop seeking truth outside of yourself and begin hearing truth within yourself. You stop betraying your intuition. You stop abandoning your body. You stop overriding your inner knowing. Because the womb holds your inner compass, your original blueprint, your embodied wisdom, your divine authority, your intuitive navigation system. This is why once your womb awakens, you cannot go back to who you were. You cannot unsee what you've seen. You cannot unknow what you now know. You cannot pretend you don't feel what you feel. You cannot tolerate what your soul rejects. You cannot fit into spaces your spirit has outgrown. Your body does not let you. The womb is the oracle of the awakening journey. And once it awakes, your life begins reorganizing around truth. Everything you felt, the sensations, the intuition, the stirrings, the emotional waves, are evidence that you are awakening from the body outward, the way Magdalene taught, the way Christ intended, the way the Divine Feminine moves. Your womb space is preparing you for clarity, for embodiment, for intuition, for sovereignty, for alignment, for mission, for Christ consciousness entering your life from the inside out. And the deeper you allow yourself to honor your body, the clearer your awakening becomes. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of embodiment. The womb awakens first because it is the first place God ever touched you. And it is the first place God will touch again when your awakening becomes real. Modern Christianity gives us a Christ who is disembodied, floating, abstract, conceptual. A Christ of doctrine and dogma, not of breath and body. a Christ who transcends the world but does not dwell fully within it. But Christ consciousness, the living essence of unconditional love, unity, and divine intelligence, is not complete without the divine feminine. And this is where the world lost the plot. For centuries, spiritual traditions embraced the masculine qualities of Christ: clarity, structure, teaching, transcendence, leadership, moral direction, divine order. But they ignored, suppressed, or erased the feminine qualities he carried equally: compassion, embodiment, intuition, presence, receptivity, emotional truth, grounded sacredness, the ability to feel God within the body. This erasure is why so many spiritual seekers feel incomplete, why awakening feels unbalanced, why the journey becomes intellectual rather than embodied, why devotion becomes duty instead of living connection. Christ consciousness is a union, not a polarity. It is a sacred marriage of Christos, divine masculine, and Sophia, divine feminine. Jesus embodied the masculine pillar. Mary Magdalene embodied the feminine pillar. Together, they formed a model of divine wholeness, the true spiritual template of the awakened humanity. And now, as the planet enters a new cycle, both energies are returning to balance. Let's unfold this mystery layer by layer. The cosmic truth: creation requires two forces. Everything in existence is created through a dance between two forces: the initiating spark, masculine; the receptive vessel, feminine. This is not gender-based, it is universal law. Stars ignite in a cosmic womb of gas and dark matter. Seeds sprout in the dark soil of the earth. Souls incarnate through the womb into form. Ideas become reality only when received, held, and nurtured. Creation requires a spark and a space. Without the spark, nothing activates. Without the space, nothing forms. Christ consciousness is the spark. The womb, the divine feminine, is the space. This is why the womb is essential to awakening, not metaphorically, not symbolically, energetically. Within the feminine, awakening stays in the mind. Without the masculine, awakening stays. Without the feminine, awakening stays in the mind. Without the masculine, awakening lacks direction. Together, they produce clarity, embodiment, intuition, confidence, compassion, spiritual authority, soul alignment, Christ-light anchored in form. This is the essence of the awakening path. So here's why the feminine was erased. When spiritual power is embodied, it cannot be controlled by institutions. When people feel God inside themselves, they cannot be manipulated. When women know their bodies are sacred, shame loses its grip. When men reconnect with their emotional intelligence, violence collapses. The divine feminine represents embodiment, intuition, sovereignty, inner authority, direct access to God, emotional honesty, creative power, cyclical living, spiritual discernment, the remembrance of unity. These traits threaten systems built on hierarchy, fear, and control. So religions demonized the feminine, silenced women, shamed the body, erased Magdalene, separated Christ from Sophia, declared intuition dangerous, punished feminine wisdom in all forms. And thus Christ consciousness was severed from its feminine half. Awakening became incomplete. The body became suspect. Femininity became sinful. Embodiment became shameful. Spirituality became disembodied. But the body has memory. The womb has memory. The soul has memory. And now that memory is returning. We're living through the rebirth of the Sophia Christos template, the balance of masculine and feminine within one awakened human body. This return is not gentle. It is not quiet. It is not subtle. It is shaking foundations. It is dissolving old identities. It is waking up intuitive gifts. It is activating womb wisdom. It is dismantling spiritual distortion. It is healing ancestral lines. It is restoring divine order. And it is happening both individually and collectively. Women are awakening to their intuitive power, their sacred boundaries, their emotional intelligence, their embodied wisdom, their spiritual gifts, their feminine strength. Men are awakening to their inner feminine, their emotional depth, their ability to feel, their intuition, their spiritual sensitivity, their embodied presence, their protective rather than controlling masculine. This is not chaos. This is recalibration. This is not breakdown. It is rebalancing. The feminine is rising because she was never meant to be erased. Here's what Christ consciousness looks like when the feminine is present. When the divine feminine is restored, awakening becomes, number one, embodied rather than intellectual. You don't just know the truth, you feel it. Number two, compassionate rather than judgmental. You soften toward yourself and others. Number three, creative rather than rigid. You become a channel for new ideas, visions, and paths. Number four, intuitive rather than solely logical. You trust the quiet voice inside you. Number five, present rather than distant. You feel God within the body, not outside of it. Number six, receptive rather than defensive. You allow blessings, support, connection, and abundance. Number seven, honest rather than performative. You live in truth rather than masks. Number eight, balanced rather than fragmented. Your masculine and feminine work together. This is true Christ consciousness. Not just the mind of Christ, but the heart, the body, the intuition, the compassion, the creative power, the embodied presence of Christ. Christ consciousness is not complete without the feminine because Christ himself was not complete without her. The Magdalene Christos template, the path of wholeness. Jesus embodied divine clarity, truth, radical compassion, spiritual law, divine masculine initiation, the Christ light. Mary Magdalene embodied divine wisdom, embodiment, intuitive truth, emotional alchemy, feminine spiritual authority, the Sophia flame. Together, they presented a model of awakened humanity that merged masculine and feminine into spiritual wholeness. Christ is the seed, Magdalene is the womb. Christ is the word, Magdalene is the breath that carries it. Christ is the light, Magdalene is the vessel that reflects it. Christ is the teaching, Magdalene is the embodiment. This is why she is called the apostle to the apostles, the keeper of the Sophia, the feminine Christ, the bridge of the divine, the teacher of embodiment. She is not secondary. She is the other half of the revelation. Why you feel this awakening in your body? Because the divine feminine is rising in you. Because Christ consciousness is moving into your womb space. Because you are becoming whole. Your body is reacting because your awakening is not theoretical, it is embodied. Your intuition is heightening because your womb is remembering. Your emotions are shifting because your feminine is being restored. Your gut is louder because your divine compass is recalibrating. Your energy is reorganizing because the masculine and feminine within you are merging. This is the sacred union spoken of in mystic texts. Not romance, not relationship, not twin flames. Union within yourself. Christ and Sophia, masculine and feminine, mind and body, heaven and earth, spirit and form. This is the true ascension, not leaving the body, but returning to it with God inside. So here's your role in this balance. You are not awakening for no reason. Your path is not random. Your womb healing, your embodied knowing, your intuition, your compassion, your spiritual fire, all of it is preparing you to teach, guide, hold, activate, remind, embody truth, restore balance through your presence. You are part of the wave bringing the feminine back into the collective consciousness. You are carrying Magdalene's remembrance, and your awakening is not a burden. It is a calling. Before we continue deeper into the teaching, I want to invite you into a gentle, safe, grounding practice that helps integrate everything we've covered so far. You don't need incense. You don't need candles. You don't need ritual tools. You don't need experience with meditation. You don't need to try to feel anything. This practice is not about forcing an awakening. It is about remembering what your body already knows. And everything we will do here is simple, subtle, trauma-informed, and non-triggering. This is not a visualization meant to activate intensity. It is a return to safety, presence, and embodied truth. Let's begin gently. Sit comfortably or lie down if that feels better. You can place your hands wherever feels safe and comforting, on your heart, on your abdomen, or simply in your lap. There is no right or wrong way to begin. Take a slow, natural breath, not deep, not forced, just a breath that reminds you, I am here, I am safe, I am present. Feel the weight of your body where it rests. Feel the way the earth or chair holds you without needing anything in return. You are supported. Let your jaw soften. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your belly be natural, unguarded, not pulled in. Just breathe. Nothing to perform, nothing to prove, nothing to fix. You are simply arriving. Now, gently, respectfully, bring your awareness to your lower belly. You do not need to touch it unless that feels grounding. Awareness alone is enough. If touching your lower abdomen feels comforting, you can place one or both hands there. If not, keep your hands where they feel safe. The energy follows your intention. As you breathe, imagine your breath moving down toward your belly, not as a visual, but as a soft awareness. No intensity, no expectation, no pressure to feel anything specific. Just a quiet noticing. This part of me exists. It holds memory. It holds wisdom. It is safe to acknowledge. Your awakening does not begin with feelings. It begins with permission to be present in your body. Let your breath settle. Let your mind soften. Let your nervous system know there is no threat. You are simply listening. Now, with slow intention, whisper or think these words. This space is sacred. You don't need to believe it yet. You don't need to feel it yet. You don't need to understand it. You are simply speaking truth into a part of yourself the world taught you to ignore. Again, softly, this space remembers God. Let the words land like soft rain. No force, no emotional expectation. You are speaking to the oldest temple on earth, the one every soul passes through to come here. Now say, I honor the wisdom held here. If emotions rise, let them. If nothing rises, that is perfect too. The womb space, physical or energetic, awakens through gentleness, not intensity. This is a temple, not a battlefield. Now, imagine a soft, warm light rising in your lower belly. Not bright, not intense, not glowing hot. Just a gentle warmth, the kind you feel when you hold someone's hand you trust, or when a memory of safety touches your heart. This is Christ consciousness in its feminine form, the light that comforts rather than commands. Let this light settle low in your body, like an ember, quiet, steady, unhurried. You may feel warmth, nothing at all, a heaviness, a soft ache, a sense of grounding, a pull inward, calm, release. Every response is valid. There is no correct way to awaken. The womb temple responds with what your system can handle. Now whisper, Christ light, fill this space with truth. Sophia, fill this space with wisdom. I am safe returning to my body. Let the light stay low, grounded, and gentle. Take a slow breath in. As you breathe out, imagine your exhale sinking into the womb space, as if your breath is tucking inside it, Try it again. Take a slow breath in. As you breathe out, imagine your exhale sinking into the womb space, as if your breath is tucking itself into bed inside your lower belly. Repeat. Inhale, presence. Exhale, softening. Inhale, connection. Exhale, memory. Inhale, light. Exhale, I am safe. This is not breath work. This is remembrance. You are communicating with the oldest part of your soul's journey, a place where spirit first became form. The womb space responds to gentleness, warmth, honesty, quiet, compassion, slowness, truth. Not force, not intensity, not performance. Now offer these phrases slowly, one at a time. Thank you for carrying my story. Thank you for protecting what needed protection. Thank you for waiting for me. It is safe to open. I honor the wisdom here. I welcome Christ consciousness into this space. Feel the softness of these words. This is the language the womb understands. Gratitude, truth, acknowledgement, gentleness, connection, presence. Not pressure, not shame, not dismissal. You are returning to yourself. Slowly lift your awareness back into your full body. Let the light in your belly remain. You don't need to turn it off. Just let it rest. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly if that feels good. Whisper, my body is sacred. My awakening is real. I am guided. I am held. I am whole. Take one final slow breath, and when you're ready, return fully to the room. You've just completed one of the most ancient Magdalene practices, the return to the womb temple. This is how your awakening anchors into your body, so your soul can move freely and your mind can finally rest in truth. A revelation means nothing if it doesn't transform how you live. Awakening is not measured by how much you know, but by how deeply you embody what you now remember. All of this womb wisdom, Christ consciousness, Magdalene remembrance, energetic awakening, feminine truth rising, it can feel beautiful, powerful, and even overwhelming. But the real work is integration. Integration simply means I let the truth I've learned become the way I move through the world. Not perfectly, not instantly, not without fear or resistance. Just honestly, gently, day by day, choice by choice. So let's talk about how you apply this teaching, not just in meditation, not just in mystical moments, but in your actual everyday life. Because awakening is not meant to stay in the clouds. It's meant to enter your body, your voice, your decisions, your boundaries, your relationships, your money, your purpose, your safety, your future. This is what it looks like to live in an awakened womb. When your womb space awakens, physical or energetic, your relationship with truth changes. Your womb will tell you when something is wrong, when you need to walk away, when someone is lying, when something is safe, when someone's energy is off, when a path is not for you, when a decision is aligned, when your spirit is saying, not this. You will feel it in your body tightening, your lips, your hips locking, a drop in your gut, a rising warmth, a pulsing in your lower abdomen, a quiet, stubborn certainty. This is not anxiety. This is not overthinking. This is embodied discernment. Your womb is the seat of your intuition, and once awakened, its truth becomes unmistakable. Integration means listening to that truth, not overruling it with logic, not silencing it for convenience, not ignoring it to keep the peace. Listening, even when it's inconvenient, even when it disrupts your plans, even when it requires courage. This one shift alone will change everything. If you were raised in religious settings, or simply in a society that treats feminine body as something to hide or judge, you likely carry womb shame. Shame for having emotions, shame around sexuality or desire, shame around intuition, shame around being too much, shame for softness, shame for needing rest, shame for your body's rhythms, shame for not being productive all the time. Integration means beginning to dissolve these burdens. You don't need affirmations. You don't need journals. You don't need perfection. You just need to begin practicing this truth. My body is not a mistake. My softness is not a flaw. My intuition is not a threat. My rhythms are holy. Healing womb shame is not a spiritual assignment. It is a return to your inherent innocence. The more you honor your body as sacred, the more it becomes a vessel for Christ consciousness. The womb teaches you to live in cycles. Rest, rise, create, release, renew. But society only honors one state: constant output. Integration means allowing yourself to live according to your body's wisdom, not the world's demands. Ask yourself, what phase am I in today? Do I need rest or expression? Do I need quiet or creation? Do I need softness or structure? This is not laziness. This is divine alignment. The womb space does not force. The womb flows. When you practice this, you begin to heal burnout, anxiety, emotional overload, and spiritual exhaustion. You stop pushing. You start listening. You stop fighting yourself. You start honoring yourself. This is Magdalene embodiment. A powerful thing happens when the womb awakens. You stop tolerating what your soul rejects. Your womb space will become very clear about who drains you, who disrupts your peace, who manipulates you, who dishonors your energy, Who pulls you out of alignment? And you will find yourself saying no from a deeper place. A place that sounds like, I can't abandon myself anymore. I won't shrink to make someone else comfortable. This doesn't feel safe in my body. My spirit will not allow this. I choose peace over attachment. I choose truth over comfort. I choose myself. Integration means trusting this sacred clarity, not apologizing for it, not bargaining with it, not overriding it, not numbing it, honoring it. This is how you protect the Christ light within you. This is how you embody the feminine Christ. This is how you stay aligned with God's voice inside your body. When Christ consciousness moves into the womb, something dramatic happens. You can no longer connect from wounds, only from truth. You no longer tolerate inconsistency, chaos, manipulation, false promises, emotional entanglement, trauma bonds, being someone's healer or therapist, relationships that dilute your intuition. Instead, you desire safety, honesty, presence, depth, reciprocity, emotional maturity, resonance, ease, mutual respect. Your womb becomes the filter, not your fear, not your loneliness, not your history, not your trauma. Your womb wisdom chooses your connections, and this changes everything. People fall away, not because you're losing them, but because your frequency no longer matches their dysfunction. People enter your life, not because you attract them, but because your awakening aligns you with what is true. Integration means letting this reorganization happen without forcing old things to fit new spaces. Awakened womb equals awakened purpose. When your womb and Christ consciousness unite, your life purpose stops being a concept and becomes a call. You begin to feel a pull toward service, a sense of divine timing, intuitive assignments, creative inspiration, an inner knowing that you are being prepared, clarity around your mission, a desire to help others awaken, the feeling that my voice matters, the sense that God is moving through you. Your womb is not just a place of intuition, it is the place of spiritual gestation. Your purpose grows there, long before it becomes visible. Integration means taking small, grounded steps in the direction of what feels alive inside of you. You don't need a master plan. You don't need certainty. You don't need permission. You only need alignment. Purpose grows in the womb, the same way life grows in the womb. Quietly, slowly, mysteriously, fully, from the inside out. So here's how to honor the womb daily, for both men and women. Here are simple, grounded ways to support this awakening. Daily hand-to-belly moment. Place a hand on your lower abdomen for 10 seconds and whisper, I am listening. Breath into the belly. Let your breath drop lower. This relaxes your nervous system instantly. Sit in stillness. Just sit and notice. Let your womb speak without needing answers. Release shame. Gently remind yourself, this part of me is sacred. Move slowly. Your womb doesn't like rushing. Honor your natural pace. Honor emotions. Your belly processes emotions before your mind. Feed your intuition. Write down the things your gut tells you, even if they don't make sense yet. For men, place your hand 2 inches below the navel and breathe. This awakens the energetic womb, the center of creative power and emotional truth. When the womb awakens, your entire life begins to align. Integration is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is not about knowing what to do. It is about knowing what feels true. And as you continue awakening, your body will speak louder. Your truth will become clearer. Your intuition will become undeniable. Your boundaries will become sacred. Your purpose will come into focus. Your relationships will purify. Your connection to God will deepen. Your life will reorganize around alignment. This is the path of the feminine Christ. This is the Magdalene awakening. This is the return of Christ's consciousness to the earth, through your body, through your womb, through your remembering. You are not learning this, you are remembering this. And remembering is the holiest form of awakening there is. As we close today's teaching, I want you to remember something sacred. Your body is not incidental to your awakening. Your womb space, Your womb space, physical or energetic, is not a symbol or a metaphor. It is a living, breathing interface between your spirit and God. The wisdom you feel rising inside you, the shifts in your intuition, the stirring in your lower belly, the emotions you've released without understanding why, the clarity that has started coming from places you never expected. All of it is real. You are not imagining this. You are not unstable. You are not too sensitive. You are awakening exactly the way the ancient ones described. From the womb outward, from the body to the mind, from intuition to revelation, from remembrance to embodiment. There is nothing wrong with you. There is something right happening in you. The womb is the first place God met you. It is the first place Christ consciousness ever touched creation. It is the first place your awakening is bringing back to life. This remembrance is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to empower you. Take your time with it. Let it land in your body, not just your mind. Let it soften you, not pressure you. Let it guide you, not rush you. And most of all, honor the sacred intelligence that already lives within you. It has never left. It has only been waiting for you to return. If this teaching touched your heart, if it brought clarity, peace, revelation, or remembrance, if it helped you feel connected to yourself, your body, your intuition, your purpose, or God, you can support this work through Buy Me a Coffee using a link in the description. Every contribution helps me continue creating these teachings, these lessons, and this awakening series. And if you're longing for deeper guidance, if you're moving through your own awakening, if your body is speaking and you don't know how to interpret it, if you need clarity, direction, grounding, or discernment, you can book an insight and clarity session with me. It's a space for deep personal guidance, spiritual alignment, intuitive counsel, emotional grounding, and the support your awakening truly deserves. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence, your openness, your heart, your willingness to explore truths that most people never touch. You are not just watching an awakening, you are becoming one. Until next time, honor your body, honor your intuition, honor your womb wisdom, and honor the Christ light awakening inside you. Your journey is holy, and you are held.